What's up guys, this is Coach Donny from Elevate Yourself. In this video, we'll be talking about the arm swing technique for spiking. Don't forget to watch my other video where I talked about spiking footwork technique, which you can combine with the arm swing technique to complete the entire spiking motion. But for this video, we'll be mainly focusing on the upper body and what to do with your arms, shoulders, and hips. First, let's talk about the goal of having good arm swing technique, which is to maximize power, control, and consistency with the least amount of effort and injury, which is essentially how I define good technique. Now we'll talk about where does spiking power come from. It comes from 6 areas. The very first one is actually the backswing of my hitting approach. The second one is my body weight. The third one is hip and shoulder rotation. The fourth one is elbow extension. The fifth one is wrist flexion. And the last one is the speed of my arm. And the technique that I'm going to teach you is going to utilize all 6 of those areas for power. Even though there is some slight variation between different arm swings, I'm going to teach you a fundamental version that I recommend all people starting off with. And as you become more advanced, you can start customizing and testing out different variations to maximize your own body's ability to generate spiking power and control. What most athletes don't realize about the backswing of the approach is that directly affects the power of your arm swing due to elastic potential energy. The bigger my backswing is, the bigger my front swing is, the bigger my elbow loaded position is, and then finally completely unloading into the ball. It's like a seesaw zigzag motion. And so with each stretch reflex in each position is what creates that buildup of power. You can try this on your own. If you keep your elbows bent, you have a short pendulum into a short pendulum in front and not as much momentum to pull your elbow back. And the further my elbow travels, the more power into the ball. So my bent elbow position only allows me to go about this far, which translates to not a lot of power into the ball. The arm swing motion requires 3 positions. The first position is what I call the Nike position, because you're forming a Nike sign with both arms, or also called the loaded position because I'm opening up my hips and opening up my whole body to load for the spike. Now as a right-handed hitter, my left arm is gonna go straight up, elbow mostly straight. See how the lead hand is slightly in front of the lead shoulder, not down here or bent. We wanna really maximize my reach, which will eventually maximize my torque when I pull my elbow down. Now my right arm, you're gonna pull your arm up and elbow back. Now all together, we open up our hip while bringing up your aiming arm and my hitting arm at the same time, up and back. Try to do that in one smooth motion, not go from here to here, but up and back. If I'm left-handed, you switch arms. You open up the other way, your lead arm will be your right arm, left elbow up and back. Now, I know a lot of coaches obsess about the height of the elbow, and that is truly dependent on your shoulder mobility, the width of your shoulders, and a lot of other physiological factors. As long as your elbow is generally up, it doesn't matter whether it's above the shoulder, at shoulder height, or even slightly below. The second elbow position is actually more critical, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Some hitters spike really hard and their elbow is actually up here. Some hitters start with their elbow back at shoulder height, and other hitters start with their elbow down here. As long as your elbow is back and generally up, not all the way down here at your waist, but generally up, that's a good starting position, and you have to experiment with which one feels more comfortable and allows you to swing with maximum speed and power. If you want to jump high, spike hard, and take your volleyball game to the next level, then use my jump training programs, which include a body weight only program where you can train with no equipment at the comfort of your home, or the Elevation Template 12-month jump training program that comes with a mobile training app, over 100 exercise tutorial videos that will use all of the standard gym equipment. Use my discount code and link in the description box to get 5% off all jump training programs. The second position is what I call the high elbow position. So once I get into my Nike position, I rotate slightly with my lead hip while bringing my left arm down and also bringing my right elbow up here. And so this initiates my rotation. So I'm rotating in 2 places, my hip, but also both shoulders, bringing my left elbow down while bringing my right elbow up at the same time. Now notice how close my elbow is to my ear. You want to have it as close as possible to your ear to lead into my next position, which allows me to reach as high as I can and extend for maximum power. A lot of people make the mistake of getting into a low or side elbow position in the second position, and what that does is it causes side spin, and that lowers the reach of the ball contact here, and this is just not good for the shoulder. Too much internal and external rotation in a compromised shoulder position. Notice that my lead elbow is still generally close to my torso, so I'm narrowing my radius of rotation. My elbows aren't wide, they are still narrow, so both elbows need to be narrow here, close to narrow my rotation there. So once again, the second position, I rotate slightly with my hip, bring my left elbow down slightly while rotating my right elbow up as close to my ear as possible. Now your hand should be slightly behind your head, or if you have the flexibility, or if you have a smaller head than I do, I got a pretty big head, then you can fit your hand here comfortably, maybe behind your neck, as long as it's not in the way. A lot of people feel more comfortable with their hand hanging freely behind their head. Don't try to cram it in this space here. And the last position is what I call the extended hook. So I'm extending my elbow and hooking the ball with wrist flexion while completely bringing my elbow all the way down to the side or grabbing my stomach, whichever one feels more comfortable. And all that does is helps keep my rotation narrow so I can spin fast and stay tall on contact. Okay, if I'm left-handed, once I'm in my second position, bring my right elbow down, left elbow by my ear, and then fully rotate, elbow extended, right elbow back here or toward my stomach, or flexing my wrist on top of the ball. So let's review that motion all in one sequence. So I recommend practicing the arm swing broken up in those 3 poses. As you feel more comfortable, you can do it more smoothly. One way to help you reinforce that high elbow second position is actually standing right next to the wall where the wall is near your shoulder and going through your arm swing motion where you're opening it up in a very narrow rotation. We don't want to open up wide, we want to open up thin. And then as I'm rotate, can you rotate and keep your elbow up here into this extended position? This wall does not allow me to have side elbow. You will hit the wall. If I rotate properly, I should be able to rotate quickly without hitting the wall. And make sure you don't cheat by leaning away from the wall to avoid it like this. That defeats the purpose of the exercise. Keep your torso tall as I'm doing it. So that motion takes advantage of torque, which is rotational power from your hips and your shoulders, and then also the power of extending the elbow. We want to contact the ball with mostly a straight elbow. If it's a bent elbow, you reduce your radius of extension, which decreases your power and reach, and this is excessive internal rotation of the shoulder, which is not good for the shoulder. Let me know if you have any questions on arm swing technique in the comments below, and I'll answer them in my next video, which is the 5 most common mistakes volleyball players make with the arm swing technique.